Okay, I'm going to read from Canto 10, Chapter 46, Text 1. So I'm going to try this out. I need a specific type of class to be effective, which has rasa and tattva. If there's too much rasa, I don't get to access my more philosophical side, which is, so let me see. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Shuka Uvacha Vishninam Pavaro Mantri Krishnasya Dayata Saka Sishyas Brihaspati Sakshat Udava Budi Sattama. Sukadeva Goswami said the supremely intelligent Uddhava was the best counselor of the Vrishni dynasty, a beloved friend of Lord Krishna, and a direct disciple of Brihaspati. Om Agyana Timarandasya Karanjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmalatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, greetings from Cali, Colombia. We just had a incredible retreat, myself and Jai Jagannath and Manu Bhattacharya, this Lilo from Colombia. Just so balanced, filled with such kirtans, Krishna Katha, sometimes going someplace. The best prasadam, because it's what Prabhupada said, prasadam should be simple. I have an audience here, so it should be simple and sumptuous. Simple, and it's just so healthy and just so tasty. So it's just been wonderful. And we scheduled our retreat during Janmashtami. So we had fabulous decorations. All the people got to participate, and wonderful decorations. 108 preparations were cooked. And I got word from my friends in the Middle East that they had an incredible, at least those on one of the areas of their country, they had a fabulous Janmashtami. Each of the devotees and each that was able to tell their Leela, their favorite Leela of Krishna book, not their Leela, and have kirtan interspersed. And they all fasted the whole day. And then they had the word I got was, this 5-star hotels, a 7-star feast. And with the people I know there from that country, it's very possible that it was the Supreme Personality of Prashadam. So, and also where I stay in New Jersey, Jack had a program too, and people were very satisfied. So, Priti Viti Achi Yati Nagaradi Gram. Lord Chaitanya said, my name will be spread in every town and village, and it's happening. Now, this is a Sukadeva Goswami is giving the scene, and what's the scene? The scene is that Krishna left Vrindavan. You can sit here. Is that just, what?
I'm gonna come back.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. You're coming to class, you have to do something.
I have to take the offering off and then I'll come.
Do it after class.
Take the offering off after
Yeah,
class?
just come to class. You can sit here. It's okay. Okay, you can sit there. So the scene is that Krishna left Vrindavan. I was reading the story this morning a little bit in preparation when Uddhava comes back. I mean, the part where the parents are, you really just can't imagine the feelings of separation of the gopis. Yeah, it's just, I'm not the parents. You can't imagine what their feelings of separation is from Krishna. And I think that type of separation is called Vipralamba. I'm not sure. I think I read in Bhagavatamrita that it's a special type of separation that's more intense, because separation is more intense. This dog is here, our Doberman Pinscher. You have to kick him out. The separation is more intense when the love is more intense. So we know from the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Krishna specifically came to experience within this world and give this world Raganuga Bhakti. The dog is just so... Raganuga Bhakti, let's say Braja Bhakti, which follows the Rigatmika Bhaktis, and this rag is rag means color. It's kind of your devotion is just consummate. There's nothing, the very nature of prema bhakti is sandandana visheshatma. Sandar means like metal. Metal, you can't even put a pin through metal. So it's thicker because it doesn't have, it's intimate. So it doesn't have reverence, and with reverence comes fear, and with reverence and fear comes distance. So even though it's pure bhakti and Vaikuntha, and it's not like anybody wants any other relationship. A mother doesn't want to be the lover of her child. It's disgusting. It's just, she's satisfied, and so yeah, so so that love is just so. I'll see you later, right?
Yes.
Okay. That love, which is more forceful, the separation from that is more intense. So we can't imagine that love, and therefore we can't imagine the pain of that separation which is total bliss. And we can't reconcile that ourselves because love is bliss. So on that platform, it's beyond duality because it's all bliss. So Krishna, he kind of, there's many reasons he left Vrindavan, but one of the reasons he left Vrindavan is because he never leaves Vrindavan, but he leaves it in Prakat, or the external Leela, he leaves Vrindavan because this it's beyond temporal spatial reality, and we're trying to fit it into our mind. We have to come to that platform and we have to realize it. But the separation from God is consciousness. So even though if it's the, how do you go? Day. Okay. I will. You're welcome to come, but if you're going by, it's okay too.
Oh.
What? Oh, okay, sure, of course. So the Prakat Leela, it doesn't really separate the devotee from Krishna, because when you have love for Krishna, Krishna is there. But still, there's this separation, and there's this incredible pain, and Krishna wants to ameliorate their feelings. But for several reasons, he can't go back. And on the Prakat Leela and the Aprakat Leela. Okay, you're welcome. Oh, look at this, I got a little crowd here. Okay, very good. Because on the Aprakat, the unmanifest Leela, why do they have to come back? Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, he's always there. And on the manifest Leela, if Krishna goes back to Vrindavan, they're so deep into separation from Krishna. They're so deep in separation from Krishna that Krishna will have to stay there for some time. And then there's a point where they're coming out of the separation from him. And as soon as they come out from the separation, they're in such a sensitive, emotional state that when they see Krishna, Krishna is afraid that when they see him, the first thought they'll think of, maybe he'll leave again, and they'll go even to deeper separation. So anyway, Krishna has to send someone, and now they're mentioning who he's sending. And he's the Pravara Mantri. He's the best advisor. So he has to have emotional intelligence. He has to be able to deeply understand the feelings of others, because it's so sensitive. Look how sensitive they are. You can't just send anyone with a message to the gopis. They could screw up the whole thing so easily. So he has to send someone who's Pravara Mantri. He's the best counselor. He's the best counselor of Krishna because he's Parishad. What Parishad means is outside of Vrindavan, again, it's just a matter of consciousness, and consciousness manifests kind of another reality that suits that consciousness, because the environment suits a particular relationship. Romantic, requires the lights on, lights off, and candles and particular music. And reverence requires a very high seat and a formal thing. So when there's that consciousness of wanting to love Krishna with a bit of a reverential mood, then it's no longer Vrindavan. It's outside of Vrindavan. But in that realm, the highest devotee, in that realm, the highest devotee is Uddhava, because he's called Parishad. It goes up to servant. There's not friendship there, because Krishna is the king. So there's no kind of, because friendship means Saman Bhagavatam. Friendship means equality. There's no equality there. In Vrindavan, there's superiority to Krishna and there's equality. The parents are superior, the friends are equal. So there's not that intimate love except for a parishad. And a parishad means an advisor. Sometimes a king will have an advisor. And it's like a friend. He can actually tell the king something. So it's kind of mixed. So Uddhava is that advisor. And sometimes in the Bhagavatam, there'll be very, very special people that have very incredible levels of, like Akrura. Akrura was 12 years in Vrindavan serving that demoniac king Kamsa for two reasons. One, he wanted to be close to Vrindavan in case he got the chance to see Krishna's pastimes. That was worth the sacrifice for him, because every one of his other relatives left in the different towns. The other thing, he wanted to keep an eye on Krishna's parents. And these people are so subtle. You talk about emotional intelligence. They're so subtle. So Akrura was the advisor of Kamsa. He was the advisor of Kamsa. And can you imagine how in tune he had to be? Because if he said the wrong thing, he'd be killed. Just like when he went to Vrindavan, he lost his mind. He came to Vrindavan and he rolled in the sand. And what does that mean? No fear. You go to Vrindavan, there's no fear. Right, Shamohini? There's no fear. You roll in the sand.
Yeah, you're just good.
You no fear.
Yeah.
But he had fear, because what if someone's, there's always blah, 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 blah. What if someone sees him and reports back to Kamsa that he's worshiping Vrindavan or worshiping Krishna? And no abhiman, no self-conception, I'm a big man. You're in Vrindavan, you roll in the sand, you roll in the dust. But except for that, where he just lost himself out of motion, he was so attuned. And look at the consciousness of Krishna's father. When Kamsa, we read that in the stories, Kamsa had ready to kill his wife, and how he was able to do that. So I think these three personalities are probably the supreme diplomatic advisor, emotional intelligence, understanding minds of others' consciousness. So that's that. He's also Krishnasya Dhyata Shaka. He is not only, he's described here almost as a friend. Can't be friend, it was Parishad. He's the intimate servant, but it's almost like a friend. And Dhyata, he's beloved of Krishna. And in fact, Krishna's father is his uncle. His brother, his father's the brother of Vasudeva, so he's a cousin brother. So there's all this kind of thing, that why is Krishna going to send him with the most incredible task? And he wants to send him there to alleviate the feelings of separation of the gopis, but to let other people know, come back to Dwarka. Just like the at the end of the Bhagavatam, the queens of Dwarka, they're praying. They understand that this type of love, and this is what the Bhagavatam is. The Bhagavatam is to give the I don't know, what is that? Vedyam Vas. It's meant to give this highest love. It's meant to give this highest love. of of the gopis, So who can do that? Imagine the thing he has to go. He also has to have some type of understanding, otherwise he'll misunderstand it. So he's very, very close to Krishna too. And he is Buddhi Sattama. He's the highest. Okay. Yeah, please stay and don't go in and out because it ruins my, I'm speaking to different audiences. It doesn't work for me like that. So he's also Sakshad Buddhi Sattama. He's the highest quality of intelligence. And he's the Shishya Brihaspati. He's the disciple of Brihaspati. And he was Brihaspati's best student. And he had PhDs in every single tattva subject except one, Gopi Bhav. Now he has to learn Gopi Bhav. So Uddhava has this incredible role to go. Tamaham Bhagavan Preshtam Bhaktam Ekantinam Kvachit Grihitva Praninapanim Prapanartha Haro Hari. The Supreme Lord Hari, who relieves the distress of all who surrender to him, once took the hand of his fully devoted, dearmost friend Uddhava and addressed him as follows. So now there's something on Krishna's mind. One time I had an idea to write a book from the Bhagavatam called The Mind of God. Bhagavatam gives the mind of God. And I was inspired by the story of Bhishma Dev, because when Yudhisthira was distraught after the battlefield of Kurukshetra, why, although I was such a noble person and always did good, why did I suffer practically more than anybody else? And you know how deep his suffering was? When he came to the battle to see his grandfather, Bhishma Dev, who's lying on a bed of arrows, he sees his grandson and he says something like this: Jivatam navahaitum vai. You don't deserve to live. Meaning, your suffering was so great, it would have been better for you to die. It would be less suffering for you to die than have to live what you lived through. And he was trying to understand this. This was causing a great doubt in his mind. Because when he sat on that throne, you can imagine the scene. The war is over and he's enthroned. And he's a sensitive guy. So he's relating, I am enthroned, but what's the cause of me being enthroned? You won the war. And what does that mean? 640 million people there dying on the battlefield. He sees all the carnage and blood. And he said, for this, to sit on this seat, why is God putting me through this? So he went to Vyasadeva. He went to Vyasadeva and tried to see if Vyasadeva, and he asked the question, and Vyasadeva answered him. And when Vyasadeva answered him, when you look at someone, you should be able to read their minds. The face is the index of the mind, more than we know. So he was explaining to him. And then, when you're explaining to someone and they have a problem, and you kind of look at them, and you want to see, you can understand by their facial thing that they understand. They'll go, like this, or he said, you understand? No, I don't understand. No, I don't understand. So then he went to Krishna. And Krishna sat him down, gave him all tattva. He said, you understand? No. Krishna didn't. Why didn't Krishna understand this inquiry? It was deliberately in Krishna's mind because he wanted him to go to Bhishma Dev and he wanted his devotee glorified. So the mind of God is very interesting. So here's the mind of God. It's on his mind in his Prakat Leela. Krishna is both Sarvagya and Mugdata. Sarvagya means Krishna is all-knowing. But he has to be Mugdata, he has to be forgetful. Why does Krishna also have to be forgetful? Because there's no ras if you're all-knowing. There's no drama, there's no emotion. If you know everything, there's no emotion. Rasa means lila and emotion. So if Krishna is always sarvagya, oh, Radha will come back to me and it'll all be settled. And so he has to be for rasa, he has to be and God, forgetful and all-knowing at the same time. Yes, because he's God. If he's all-knowing, there's no. He's not all-knowing. He's not God. So Krishna has to be all-knowing and forgetful at the same time. So this is really rasa. He Prapana, Arti, Lord Hari. What's it? What? No, what's the sound? No, that was my computer. What? What?
Someone's not muted.
Oh, it's not out here? Okay, well, now they muted. What was my last point? Okay, he removes the distress of those who are surrendered. Because what's distress? Material distress. It's the three modes of material nature. It's the bodily conception of life, which give rise to Vayam, Matya, to duality and fear. But what's the cause of it? The cause of it is when you don't want to be a devotee, you have to be put in the illusion that you're not. When you don't want to be a devotee, you have to be put in the illusion that you're not.
Oh.
So the illusion that you're the body, the illusion that there's no God, the illusion that you're separate from God is caused by your desire to not want to be a devotee. So when you surrender to Krishna, then all that illusion and all that fear is gone.
Forever?
Forever. Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Daratya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Mayam Etamtana. It's divine. Daivi Esha Gunam Mama Maya. It's impossible to cross. Mameva Ye Prapadyante. But those who surrender to me, it's gone. I don't want to be a devotee, but I am. So Krishna fulfills our desires by giving us the illusion we're not. So our illusion is following our desire. Krishna is fulfilling our desire. You change the desire. Why will Krishna put you in illusion? If you want to be a devotee, then Krishna will let you take away the covering and let you see that. And he removes it. And this is what Lord Krishna says. Gacha kacho dava brajam somya pritra na pritam avaha gopina mad yogadim mad sadeshir vamochaya. Krishna said, dear gentle Uddhava, go to Vraja and give pleasure to our parents and also relieve the gopis suffering in separation from me by giving them my message. Now, The gopis are the gopis are only alive for two reasons. The two reasons that the gopis are alive is that Krishna said I would return. So they're living on that hope. And they and as time goes on, you lose the hope. But the other reason why is because they love Krishna, and Krishna would suffer if they died. So even though they'd rather die than live, they suffer living for Krishna. Just like when Uddhava will go and he sees Nanda Maharaj, and Nanda Maharaj is in his house, and he's kind of depressed. And then Uddhava comes. Uddhava is very special because he's the cousin brother. He looks exactly like Krishna. And also because he so much took the mood of Krishna. And mood also causes color. You're yellow with fright. You're yellow with cowardice. You're white with fright. You're green with envy. You're blue with depression. So he's such a personality. So he's carrying this. And Nanda Maharaj is there. And he just feels, he said, my God, I thought I was a devotee. But when I see your devotion, because I'm missing Krishna. He sent me from a message. It's not easy for me. I'd rather stay with Krishna. But I'm still living. I'm not devastated. You're sitting in the corner. You're not functioning at all. Nanda Maharaj looked at him and said, you're such like a fool.
No.
You're such a fool. You're such a fool. You call me a devotee? You call me a devotee? When Dasarath left home, Ram died. I'm still living. You think that's devotion? You think that's devotion? Of course, it was greater devotion because he would feel Krishna would be so suffering. Tanma manaska mat prana mat artha tyaktva daihika mamevaye dayatam preshtam atmanam manasagata yetakpaloka dharmascha mat arte tan bibarmyaham. The mind of those gopis are always absorbed in me. And their very lives are ever devoted to me. For my sake, they have abandoned everything related to their bodies, renouncing ordinary happinesses in this life, as well as religious duties necessary for such happiness in the next life. I alone am their dearmost beloved, and indeed their very self. I personally sustain such devotees who, for my sake, give up all worldly duties, but not artificially and not selfishly. As we know in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna wanted to give up the duties. Krishna rejected that because you can give them up selfishly. You can give them up prematurely, and you can give them up selfishly. Because Krishna may want you to act in the world, and it may be difficult for you. That's why on devotion, it's free from gyan. in other words, the desire for, we don't have a desire for liberation like Narada Muni. Narada Muni was meditating, and then he had Saksha Darshan. He saw Krishna, then Krishna disappeared. And then he tried to see Krishna again. He just heard a voice. He said, you have some material taint. You can't see me yet. And what was that material taint? He was attached to the Himalayas. It was so peaceful. Right? Sometimes for us, we want, the world is so crazy. The world is so, it's our personal time. I want liberation. But the devotee, the Danam, the Janam, the Sundarim, Kavitam, Va, Jagadisha, Kamaye, Mama Janmani, Janma Ishvari, Bhavatad, Bhaktir, Hoitaki. The devotee doesn't even want liberation. He wants service. Narayana Parasarve, Nakutas Chanya Bibhyati, Swaga, Pavarga, Narakeshu, Apituryata Darshan. One who is Narayana Parayana, one who has that deep love for God, Narayana Prasad, Nakutas Chanya Bibhyati, Swaga, Pavarga, Narakeshu. He doesn't care. Swaga, heavenly joy, Pavarga, the earth, but hell, he doesn't care. Apitulyata Darshana, he just wants to have that service to God. We can make a joke. We don't come to bhakti for peace. We come for love, and love is not peace. So the minds of the gopis, they're always absorbed. And matartha, prana, for my sake, that's their prana. Their prana is for my sake. This is exact opposite of selfish consciousness. My prana, matkata, prana, matchita, matkata, prana. What's the devotee? Matchita, matkata, prana. My devotee, matchita, my mind. Machita, Makata, my goal, prana. My life, Krishna's my life. What is it? Prana. I live on Krishna. That's what we live on life. We live on Krishna. Without Krishna, I have no life. Like the gopis, when they saw Krishna and the Kaliya serpent, and they began to see Krishna, and then they started to remember Krishna, what it was like. And Krishna was in the coils of that Kaliya serpent, and he was being strangled, and they were watching it, and they started to remember their loving feelings. Now it's going to be finished. Krishna's smile is going to be finished. And then they thought, Krishna is my life. Without Krishna, I have no life. Govinda Virahena me. And without you, there's no life. And what is our consciousness? Without me. Me. And they've abandoned everything. When you take sannyas, you'll get the Gopi Baba mantra. And interesting story about the Gopi Baba mantra. Prabhupada in Radha Damodar temple, in the ceiling, see, it was red sandstone, the ceiling, and they had these columns. But one of the stones, it actually was a secret compartment. Radha Damodar. It was a secret compartment. And I had my friend, he was staying there, and he discovered the secret department. And he brought me, it was Prabhupada's trunk. Yeah, in his room. It was up. It was Prabhupada's trunk. And I looked through the trunk. And I looked through the trunk, and the sannyas mantra that Prabhupada got from Bhakti Began Keshamarj when he took sannyas was there on a piece of paper. The sannyas mantra.
Oh, there's a sannyas mantra.
Yes, when you take sannyas. It's the Gopi Baba mantra. And why is it the Gopi Baba mantra? Because who are the greatest renunciates? Who are the greatest? Taktva Turna Masesha Mandalapati Shrenim Siddhatu Chavat. Bhutva Dina Ganesha Ka Karunaya Kompina Kantasrita Gopi Baba Rasamrati Taktva Turnam, the six Goswamis, Taktva Turnam, they gave up everything. Taktva Turnam, Asesha Mandalapati Shrenim Siddhatu, they gave up everything, like Tuchavat, like nothing. Bhutva Dina, Ganesh, out of compassion for who? Bhutva Dina, for the people who are poor in Krishna consciousness. Kopina Kantasri Tao, and they accepted just loincloth and kuntimala. Why? Gopi Baba Rasamrati, because they were always in the mood of the gopis. The gopis gave up everything, their reputation. You're going to give up your reputation for Krishna. Who's going to give up their reputation? There's a little criticism of us. We freak out. And what to speak of the ego, just the practicality of, we were describing against, reputation is like a commodity. It allows you to negotiate the world. If people don't trust you, they don't trust your productivity, your competence, or your character, you can't do anything in the world. And what to speak? They're all that's good reputation they had. Why? Because they were so chaste, and they were family, and society, and they in those days, the women and the rules, and they were giving up everything to such an extent when they came to see Krishna. He thought, I'm loving everyone in the world. I love the parents. I love the servants. I love the friends. I love every living entity. It's no contest. You only love me. How can I compete with you? What can I give you? You'll have to be satisfied with that love alone. I can't compete with you. I have to be satisfied with that love alone. One more verse. Mayita preyasam preshte durasti gokulastriya sparantyo muyanti viho kontya vivalo. My dear Uddhava, for the woman of Gokula, I am the most cherished object of love. Thus, when they remember me, who am so far away, they are overwhelmed, vivala, kantya, by the anxiety of separation. They were stunned. They were stunned. So he's telling this to Uddhava. He's telling this to Uddhava that these people are the most dear to me, and look at their condition, and I have to relieve them, and I need someone who's an incredible counselor. I need someone who's dayata, who's so beloved to me, who can have that access, because from there to there, it's hard to understand. When you have reverence, it's hard to understand intimacy, right? I remember a funny story with Giriraj Swami. I went to see him. He's a great saint. And I forgot what we were talking about, but he was describing his father was a great judge. His father was a judge, a big lawyer. Giriraj Swami's father.
Oh, Giriraj Swami. Oh.
And his father was the lawyer for Sonny Liston, who was the heavyweight champion of the world. And he was the most feared person. When he fought Muhammad Ali, not one person thought Muhammad Ali would last for one round. This guy was the most terrifying person in the world. And then Giriraj Swami took him when he was doing some legal work with him, and he said, "You see this guy here? He's the most powerful man in the world." And Giriraj Swami was a little boy, and he was so disappointed. He said, I was so disappointed. I thought my father was the most powerful man in the world. I thought my father was the most powerful man in the world. Anyway, I forgot the point. I got a little sidetracked on that one. So what's dear to us becomes the thing we possess as most. And right, the thing that is dear is the thing that becomes the object we want to have. And the most dear object is our soul. So things that our relationship to our soul are the things that really we have the strongest desire to want. God is the soul of our soul. And it's the thing we want so much. And therefore Krishna becomes so dear. Simply because I promised to return home, my fully devoted cowherd girlfriends struggle to maintain their life somehow or other. On my promise. So just imagine Krishna's feelings and the mission that this Uddhava has. Such a sensitive mission to somehow pacify them. Sukadeva Goswami said, thus addressed, O king, Uddhava respectfully accepted his master's message and mounted his chariot and set off for Nanda Gokul. So when you're the servant, one of your bhavs is accepting the order on your head. When you get an order and you're a servant, it's an ecstasy when you get an order. Or waiting for the order is an ecstasy. So it's all bhav. So even this is Uddhava's bhav. Krishna gave him an order and he's the parishad, he's his servant. So he gets the order. You know? Wow. And he accepts his message and he goes immediately takes the initiative, immediately goes. Like with such, imagine his consciousness now. I have the order. I remember when Prabhupada was in Vrindavan and he said, it's very amazing. He said, take me to Govardhan. And I thought that's very, very significant because Prabhupada kept his internal life not fully revealed because of the Sahajiya tendency in the Kali Yuga. So he didn't want to say what his relationship was or something. And so and it's described in the story of Putana that Putana at the end revealed her true self as she was dying. When you're dying, you tend to let go of the facade. It doesn't, you know, when you're dying, you tend to let go of this facade. So, she had to keep the facade. She wasn't a beautiful woman. She was a horrible witch. She went to kill Krishna. But when Krishna sucked out her poison, it sucked out her life, then she revealed herself. So in the commentary, it said that that's actually a psychological phenomenon. That's actually a psychological phenomenon. That people, toward death, they let down their guard. So I thought maybe that's with Prabhupada. Because at the very end, he says, let me go to Govardhan, which is such a very intimate thing. And then what happened, which was interesting, is you saw immediately and he wanted to go by bullock cart. He wanted to go by bullock cart to Govardhan. It's so intimate. And then some disciples ran off immediately, how they got the order. Eventually, Prabhupada didn't go because the Ayurvedic physician said that it would actually be suicide. So his disciples said he shouldn't go. But his order, he's accepting it. Adritya, Adya, Sandesham, the message, R2 of his master, Adritya, Adaya, he's taking it respectfully. It's my order. Just like when Prabhupada was in 26 Second Avenue. Prabhupada was in 26 Second Avenue. And he was there and it was screeching outside. And he was thinking, why had he come there? He was an aristocratic Bengali gentleman. The last place you want to go for your nature is the Lower East Side. And it wasn't like it was now. Now it's like something, but then I was once preaching to this aristocratic lady from South America. At one time, she even gave me the key to her safety deposit box. But she wouldn't go up to any program I did in 26 Second Avenue. I mean, she lived there. She wouldn't cross. They don't cross that side of the street.
Especially at that time, probably.
They don't cross. And Prabhupada was in there. And when Prabhupada was in there, he was thinking, what am I doing here? Why have I come here? Why have I come here? And then Prabhupada said, because it was the order of my spiritual master. See, what bhakti is, it's not the activity. It's the liking of the service to Krishna. When you get really advanced, it's not that we like a particular activity. We may like a particular activity, but what we really like is we like service, the liking of the service. Okay. All right, Jamuna Jaya, are you still there? Let's see. Maybe, is she there today?
Yes, Raj, I'm still here.
Okay,
Hi.
all the people here. Let's see.
Hello. Oh, we get to go big. Hello. Oh, hey, everybody. I love always hearing the bird. Oh, Shambhat. Very cool. I love hearing all the birds in the background when you speak the Maharaj. It just always sounds so wonderful.
Linda said, when is Jamuna Jaya coming?
Next time, hopefully, next time. I really want to be there. It looks so beautiful.
I'm here.
I really appreciated, Maharaj, what you said about illusion follows our desire. If we desire to turn away from Krishna, he'll give it to us. And yet, and then the people of Vrindavan, their desire was to have this intimate relationship with Krishna. And so they get the yoga maya, the good illusion, whereupon most of us are in the mahamaya, the bad illusion. So I really appreciated that. Again, it's like, you know, Krishna will give us what we want. And if we want to turn away, he'll give us that illusion. And I love that point about not being a devotee when we all actually are. It's our natural state to be a devotee, but yet we turn away. So I really appreciated that this morning, Maharaj.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Can I say more than hello? I have a question.
Anybody would like to have a reflection or maybe a question or maybe 10 questions or 100?
How about 2 questions?
Well,
Yeah.
we'll try one. And if
Okay.
and if I pass the test, you can get another.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj. Yes, I have 2 conceptions about uppercut versus prakat lila. So one conception is that uppercut means lila that takes place in the spiritual world versus the earthly pastimes. You know,
No, that's not what it means.
Okay. So the other conception is that
uppercut means what is manifest and visible, and uppercut means which was not. So even in the spiritual world, sometimes in the prakat, Krishna goes to Mathura, but he's still manifest there. It's just not visible.
But yeah, he's still manifest in Vrindavan.
Right, but it's not visible at that time.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because I've heard these 2 words used in that first way, but I guess those who use it in that way, they are under a misconception. Because the way you explained it just now, that was my original understanding.
I think it can be used in that way too, that the prakat lila, Krishna is manifest here, but it just means not manifest and manifest.
Okay, yeah, just very simple. The other question was, I missed one of the 3 best devotees out of Vrindavan. I got Akrura, Uddhava, and then
I didn't say the best devotees. I said the ones that have that kind of sense of real diplomatic skills. Vasudeva, Akrura, and Uddhava.
Oh, Vasudeva. Okay, Vasudeva is what I was missing. Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. It's Isabel.
Isabel, we're missing Isabel.
Yes. Oh, and I'm missing you all. Hi.
Hare Krishna Gurudev. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay.
For the class.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Oh.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Gurudev. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much for the class.
Okay.
Yavat Sundari.
Yavat Sundari and Sri Radhika. Okay. Moscow Shana. Okay. Okay. We'll see you all. Okay. Shana, are you there? Moscow Shana?
Yes, I'm here, Maharaj.
You have a question? Just want to say hello.
Yes, I have one question about illusory and our desires. So if we have a desire to be a devotee, but externally, how can we change this to internal thing?
Well, a lot of times the mind follows the body. Like when you pay obeisances, your head goes down and your heart goes up. So it helps you. Or when you go on Prikram, you put something else on the center. But just the practices of devotional service give us the internal feeling. But we also engage the body and it helps the mind go there. But we want the internal feeling. That's the most important thing. So it's just the process of Krishna consciousness. It's surrender to Guru and Krishna. It's the 9 processes of devotional service. It's the 5 most potent items of devotional service. So all these processes get us more internal. Are you coming to Govardhan or Puri or what?
Yes, I'm going with my friend on Kartik as well. We are going to have Rajamandala Parikrama with Archimurti if Krishna allows us to do this.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Wow. So you'll be out at Govardhan, right?
Yes, I hope so, yes.
You stay in her house?
Well, we didn't find an apartment yet. Vikram is trying to help us, but he said that lots of people coming to Govardhan and everything has already booked. So we are looking for something now.
Okay, Haribo. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Tota Gopinath here.
Okay, Tota. I guess we'll see you in another 2 weeks, almost.
Yeah,
okay.
You look so vital in Colombia.
I look vital in Colombia?
Yeah, I mean, the sun, the food, everything, just he seems so alert and vital.
It's true. But it's perfect, more perfect than most perfect. So it's healthy, more healthy, and most healthy. Okay, anybody else?
Hare Bo.
Hare Krishna, Slal Govinda.
Ambrosia, thanks for class.
Haribo.
Haribo.
It's nice here out in Colombia, my God. Wow.
Sure.
Okay, Haribo. ¿Cómo estás, señora?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So nice to see you. Thanks so much for class.
Are you in the Bhakti Center?
Yes, Maharaj.
I can tell by the green color that it's the Bhakti Center. Say hello here.
Hello, everyone. Gopi Gita. Is Susana there already?
What's that?
Susana. She went to the ashram from the Bhakti Center.
Oh, went to here?
I thought so.
Wow. I don't know who she is.
Okay.
What? She came for the retreat? Or? Yeah. Oh. Okay. I understand everything. Hemalatarata, I spoke to Rachel. She said the ashram training was really nice, huh?
Yeah, it was, Maharaj. It was really nice. Bhakti Lata did an amazing seva.
How was your Janmashtami there?
I was at the Bhakti Center for Janmashtami, and it was really incredible.
Yeah. Some of the highlights.
For Janmashtami, well, Janavi Harrison played. Kirtan was amazing and really wonderful. Prasadam was out of this world. The deities look incredible. All decoration was fantastic.
Okay, so it's a nice experience for you there?
Yes, Maharaj, it's been wonderful.
And we don't want her to go back.
And we have to mention Sri Prahlad's Kirtan also, which was so heart-moving.
It was actually. And seeing Jamuna Jaya was a highlight.
Okay, great. Wow, you look so peaceful.
Oh, thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, Haribo.
Haribo.
Anybody else? Okay, we will end for now. Okay, Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu.